Hi guys, welcome to Hobby Hangout. Happy Friday, everyone. Today we've got some really special stuff planned for you. I'm your host, Danny Samuels, Hobby and Terrain Specialist with Privateer Press. Over here we have Tanner. You can't see him. He's off camera. Our lead production? Casting lead. And Charles. Charles is awesome. He works in our warehouse. He's absolutely fantastic. We're going to go through a few announcements first before we get into all the fun stuff that we're going to make today. Yay, that was me masking a stretch as I shake and look excited. All right, John is here too. He's behind the camera. Hi. Tony is out today. John, if you would not mind. Excellent. So here's the stream schedule. As usual, we have Dev Hangout on Wednesdays. Get your paint on Thursdays. We've got a staff showdown on December 17th. And another Hobby Hangout with Brian McLaughlin on January 10th.
Assuming we don't cancel Danny.
2 Hobby Hangouts.
What's that?
On the 17th. 2 Hobby Hangouts.
Oh, another one on the 17th.
We have 2.
Dope. So we have a lot of Hobby
Sorry,
Hangout.
not Hobby Hangouts, staff showdowns.
2 staff showdowns on the 17th. Here we are. Awesome. So we also have some really cool stuff coming out for Mini Crate. Be sure to subscribe. Soon you will be able to get a new Savage Mini Crate. Zaltotune. He's super awesome. Look at that awesome sculpt. And as always, one of my favorite amazing sculpts that we've done is the King Conan VIP model. Definitely be sure to do the VIP subscription to get that.
And both of those end on January 12th. So you literally have exactly 1 month.
1 month. Also, if you guys have any hobby questions, Brian and I will be able to answer them. If you guys would like, you can email us at brianm@privateerpress.com or danny@privateerpress.com, and we'll try to answer your questions, take your guys' ideas, turn them into content. We'd love to hear what you guys think about the stream.
Brian with a Y.
And ask lots of questions. Also, be sure to hashtag stuff on Instagram. Hashtag P3kitbashers. We've been starting to see some really cool stuff. I might even try to organize like a raffle or some sort of contest sort of thing that we could give you guys some cool gear maybe. If you do some cool P3 Kitbasher stuff, we'd love to show some of that on live stream. So today, you want to get into the project, John? We're going to make a awesome Riot Quest Deathtrap token. All of the bits to get this, except for some of the little tiny things that you'll need to scratch build, are available now on our web store for $13. This is totally usable in Riot Quest. We're trying to give you a neat solution to replace those cardboard tokens that are still really sweet that you get in the box. So feel free to pick that up. It's live and ready to go. Also, you can continue to purchase our other previous Hobby Hangout content from the online store. Definitely buy up those walls quick. They're starting to sell out. Same thing with the ponds. They're very, very close to selling out.
Amazing stuff too. It was all great.
Huh?
I loved the projects that you did. They're
fun.
very good.
Thanks, Charles. I think Charles is a serial killer, so I'm scared that he's on live stream with me. He's like,
it's all right. I don't know where you live yet.
No, he's probably the nicest human I've ever met in my life, and something about it is very, very unnerving.
Especially because people where we're from up here in the Northwest aren't always super friendly and inviting and open.
So before we get super distracted
Seattle
talking
freeze.
about what a beautiful human Charles is, John, do you want to switch main screen over to yeah, awesome. So the main thing that we start with here is part of the railless interceptor. I like this weird little head bit. I saw it and I was like, this thing looks like it could be a little spider walker head. And we thought of a bunch of different designs and fun stuff we could do with the Deathtrap marker. It's kind of a fun concept. It's this little like moving, walking trap. So there are a lot of different options. In fact, I'm actually making another one as well for future content that will be like a bit simpler and even more goofy. It's something Hungerford actually came up with that I really want to pursue.
Goofy is good.
Stay tuned. It's really goofy. So stay tuned for that. But what I'm doing here is I'm just taking our flush cutters and starting to pop off the sprue. And be careful around this tip because sometimes it's going to want to pop and fracture the resin right there. just where the feed was. So just be careful and try to get in there. Work ease your way up into it. There's no reason to not do like multiple cuts and passes.
I was just going to say, a lot
Yeah.
of times when it comes to really any modeling, they say measure twice, cut once, but
Yeah.
realistically, cut multiple times.
Yeah, I do a
Yeah.
lot of passes.
That way you don't gouge into anything.
You can
Especially
see
that
I'm
good
taking
resin.
This, what's that, Charles?
Especially that good resin. You know?
It's a sweet I mean, yeah, I really like our resin right now. It has its benefits and it has its negatives, but it's pretty fun.
It's easy to work with.
So this is if you guys have seen Brian's live stream, this is a tool we both use a lot. It's a modified 15C scalpel blade that we cut the back off of and put into a hobby handle, like a hobby knife handle, so that it doesn't jitter. And so you can really get in there and scrape, and you can get into smaller areas with it. And it scrapes and cleans up that resin really beautiful. But we're not super worried about the underside of this thing because we're going to cover it with a big googly eye. I'm really trying to like use a googly eye in almost every single hobby hangout at this point. I know Brian is as well. Like we both, googly eyes are seriously the best.
That's
Like,
your signature right there.
well, I mean, they're easy and they're cheap. They make great domes. They make great bubbles.
They make
great
everything
mechanical
fun.
shape. Yeah, and they shake and rattle when you move them, and it annoys a lot of people, which is weirdly I get great pleasure.
Throw
out
them
of
off their
that.
game.
So
Hey,
feel
Danny,
free to tune in and ask questions as we go.
Hey, Danny,
So,
real quick, how
yes,
did
sir.
you make your base there?
That is exactly what I'm going to get into. Good
Oh,
question.
nice.
So this is a material that
Nailed
I
it.
absolutely crushed it. Hungerford, you have an important question too. Tell me more.
We're waiting.
Also, this is one of my most used tools. I've shown you guys this before, but it's just a emery board for nail filing, right? But you can cut it with scissors to get all sorts of little shapes and get in to small places. So I'm just using that to clean up these edges. Now, what this actually is a material I use a ton. It's a very, very underrated. It's a very underrated material, so I'm very distracted by Hungerford right now.
Ignore him.
It's foamed PVC board, so it's not like plastic card or sheet styrene, right? It's this kind of very light, fluffy, but still plastic PVC board. So you can actually cut it with a knife even when it's like 1/8 of an inch thick. So for things like bases, I'll actually I'll cut and use this. And one of the reasons I like it is you can scribe it really easily and you can carve it very easily. So this is actually what I'm going to end up using to create this base that you see here, where I kind of tried to mirror the Riot Quest board texture.
Beautiful.
And I actually left a certain tool upstairs, but you can basically use anything for this. I use a nail, a big housing nail that I just like kind of dulled out on the belt sander.
But it's like super rusty, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
tetanus
yeah,
waiting to
yeah,
happen.
Because everything is more fun with a slight chance of tetanus. Hungerford, I'm still waiting.
He said his important question was, what?
What?
I hope he's saying it in his head like Little John.
What? Okay. Yes, exactly.
This is specifically why I say
So-
ignore Hungerford.
I'm using just this regular old sculpting tool right now, and I'm gonna start scribing in some of our like brick lines.
Nice.
So when you say you cut this with a knife, do you have to apply some pressure, or does it just cut like butter?
Multiple passes.
Okay.
Right.
So you should score and score and.
Score and score and score. And unlike styrene, where you want to score and snap it, where you don't have to cut all the way through styrene, this stuff you can snap it, but it gets this kind of, since it is a foamed PVC.
Yeah.
It gets this slightly ratty edge if you do that. So I tend to just go with multiple passes. I actually use a big box knife to cut this stuff. You know, like those snap-off blade knives.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
So apparently Tony is present once again as a ghost embodying the Privateer Press chat in Twitch. So
Tony
he threw
is?
in the okay.
Hashtag truck stop Tony.
God. And you guys can see here, I'm starting to
What if
see
it's
if we can get that.
Oh, I see Raven uses this material for cosplay armor.
What's that? Oh yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And it's the nice thing is it's durable and light, so I really love using it for gaming purposes. Right? It's super light, but it's strong, and this stuff glues up so easily with super glue.
So I see that you're making a custom base out of it. What are some other things that you use that material for most commonly, if you have any other examples?
Well, We have a certain project coming up that they announced at Lock and Load that may or may not be somewhat sci-fi themed.
Ooh.
And I'm using a ton of this stuff on it. So it's really, really good for like hard surface or kind of tech-based stuff.
Yeah.
I use it, honestly, if I'm just making a small kind of like outhouse or something where it needs to be durable and I need to move quickly.
Okay.
I'll use it for that.
It's like a lot of walls.
Well, it
and
looks like
surfaces.
it's pretty easy to get some detail into it.
It
without,
is, because it
without-
carves beautifully.
Yeah, it
carves
looks good
beautifully.
already.
And something I also did not bring here, that's kind of the final step, is I just take a rock. And after I'm done kind of scribing this,
You
I
just
roll a rock over it, and it'll
give
kind
it
of
that
take
texture.
We'll
that
give those
stone
different
texture.
impressions and we'll.
But I mean, you can even just take like a ball tool like this and start to,
Pound it a little bit.
you know, hit some little divots and dings and kind of roll this over it, you know.
Nice. I like that.
It takes
You
some
could just go
detail.
outside and
Looks
get
fun.
a rock.
Yeah, and another good trick you can do with it is you can carve it it carves beautifully. So I actually started using this stuff a ton in the animation industry where it had to be very stylized, and you can
Yeah.
really push a lot of very stylized wood grains. I worked on a Adventure Time stop motion episode, right? And
Nice.
like that's how we matched that wood grain.
Okay.
That really stylized kind of wood grain from the cartoon is we just kind of drew it. We cut strips of this stuff and kind of drew it in like I just did with the brick marks.
It's like you know what you're doing, Danny.
And so what I'm doing, this is called a stop cut. It's extremely, extremely useful for terrain where you go down, straight down, and then you come back at the cut at an angle, and you'll actually be able to peel out little layers. See
You're
that?
basically beveling a wedge out of it.
Yeah.
Long wedge.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
So Vanderbeest
Vanderbeest
has-
has a really good question. Do you need to be careful about what glues, paints, and spray paints you used on foam PVC? You know, I have actually not found a glue that does weird stuff to it. I mean, I'm sure like if you ever end up using like acetone or something,
I
it would
wouldn't.
melt
I don't
it.
know that I would use any accelerants.
Oh,
putting glue
I
on it.
accelerate
Like
the,
Zap again
all the
and
time.
stuff?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
okay?
I use P3, you know, our regular old cyanoacrylate super glue. And I mean, you'll see I'm about to kick something on it. It works perfectly with Zip Kicker.
All right, then.
I tend to use, you know what though? What will not work on it is your plastic cements. So like your traditional like modeling styrene plastic cements. It does not. Those are solvent based, and they're meant to melt those plastic model kits together. Actually,
I see.
it will not work on this. It does not melt it.
I'm mostly not a fan of
Plastic
glues and
cement.
solvents that weld plastic
I
together.
am.
Yeah,
I
me
am.
either.
I swear
So
by that
the
stuff.
the wonderful and
Yeah.
amazing Travis Mark had asked, what kind of basing would you recommend Hobby Hangout staff to match different maps that Hungerford is making?
For Riot Quest.
Well,
Yeah.
what is that a trap question? What
I
am
don't
I?
know.
What do we know?
trying to get you to
Sorry,
make
there are
more
things
maps.
that. So I hide. You guys have to understand. I kind of hide in a corner, and I don't know what's been announced and what hasn't.
Dannyland in the mezzanine. is a
Anyway,
beautiful
I have a
place.
mezzanine, and I don't know.
Yeah.
John, what's been announced? What boards have we announced?
I think Hole Grinder is the only other map that's
Okay,
been
so that's the
Yeah,
pirate
I-
ship
and I-
stylized wood one, right?
Yeah,
so,
I don't have a date on that one.
I mean, you can
unfortunately, yet.
use whatever at that point. Like, you know, I tend to love at this scale coffee stirrers from Starbucks. If you're trying to mirror like a wood, so this is what I do for Thunderhead Fortress. Is I carve like Sintra or foamed PVC, and I guess Sintra is like the main dealer, right?
Riker, Striker, we don't say OSHA in this
What's
building.
I would say
We
OSHA.
don't say OSHA.
Yeah, right.
It's a dirty word.
Can't use that word.
You know, but for wood, I use just like coffee stirrers, and I'll like take a sculpting tool like this and kind of exaggerate the wood grain a little bit, or
Yeah.
run a saw, the side of a saw blade across it
Nice.
to add some more wood
Well, that's
grain.
good.
So that'll work really, really well for like the hall grinder board. You guys can see how we doing on time. Sweet. Okay.
It's obviously doing a lot of like rubbled stone and stuff for Thunderhead Fortress.
Yeah.
And then I think Hungerford's recently been talking about the block coming up, so I imagine there will probably be some frozen things involved. So hopefully some snow basing will be good on some of those models.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be really cool
snow's
looking.
a pain in the butt, man. I do not see a lot of really amazing snow.
I really like doing snow basing.
It can be very difficult. I've found that crushed glass seems to give the best effect. You can buy that from different
Is that because
different
it's
hobby
highly
places.
reflective, or?
Yeah, so a lot of people will use like that snow powder that you can kind of buy anywhere and mix it with like a gloss medium, and then let that dry, and then they'll go in with some more gloss medium and then sprinkle like crushed glass on top, and that's the best snow I've ever seen.
I
But
usually take the snow basing, and then after I've put it on the base and applied it, then I'll put a very thin amount
Thin
of
dusting.
PVA on top of it
Yeah.
to make it like it makes it less granular. It makes it
Yeah.
look more natural.
And I've seen your snow tanner. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, you did a very good job. I also like.
I'm sure it's
the-
average by Danny's standards, and that's okay with
well,
me.
I just
Danny's
don't-
on a different level.
I just don't like you.
That's a
That's
fine
true.
fault
We
in
had
whatever
this
you do.
conversation
Damn.
yesterday. It turns out Danny is not a huge fan of me at all.
Yeah, but it's great because Tanner's boss lets him do mean things to me that no one else would be allowed to do in the studio. Like, I was trying to cast something the other day.
I like how you said in the studio because
the
I can do
studio.
all the mean things I want.
Yeah, I was trying to cast something the other day, which is definitely like Tanner's realm, and I said something really like not polite to Tanner. Which, full disclosure, I actually love Tanner, but I don't want him to know that. And he just walks up and literally just smashes the resin out of my hand right as I'm pouring it. Just
Nobody
like,
messes with me in my own department.
just whack like a cat, right?
Not in my own domain.
That's right.
Sir.
You come into this house.
This is the Whiskey Rangers kingdom.
So, sorry, Travis, you're.
Thank you,
looking at
Travis.
making more. Yes. So, just use a washer. A washer is a very, very generic way to get a shape that you can kind of texture on top of to make really quick tokens.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, and they'll have some nice weight to them.
Now you guys can see we've got this stone base going. Striker, crushed glass is not safe. Don't inhale it, but it's very, very useful.
Raven
Is
actually
there a risk
points
of,
out
like,
another.
microcuts for your fingers?
No, it's
It's
powdered.
like tempered
It's
glass
powdered.
or whatever?
It's powdered.
That's what super glue is
That's
for.
wrong. You know, a lot of trouble if you
So
breathe it in.
now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to find a way to attach these legs. As you can see, they slot in, and we want this thing to be pretty durable. And the thing I like about Riot Quest is like if you're not using, the models for War Machine and Hordes, like there's no reason why they can't just be on a really, really sweet scenic hex, which gives you a lot of really fun, a really fun kind of place to play.
Yeah.
I'm doing an insider still. I just really need to submit it on doing some Riot Quest basing, kind of like I showed you with, both this method and the, what's it called? And, oh my God, my brain just shut off. And War Machine and Hordes style lipped bases. Striker, this entire stream is not an HR disaster, actually.
That's pretty rude coming from a top fan.
Nothing I've done has actually been against policy. It just seems like it. I guess the one thing was me not giving Hungerford safety goggles once when we were using a drill, I guess, but
I guess it was.
fine. So what I'm going to do is...
When he was literally holding the other end of something you were twisting using a power drill that had wires that could have splayed out and like, shot
and
into
knock
his
on
eyes.
wood,
No,
but I've
that was
done
fine.
that. I've done that a million times, and I've never seen it pop. So
Well, and it's also
He's
kind
making
of,
this sound really bad.
it's
It'll
also
happen to somebody else. Don't worry about it.
But it's also kind of funny, like watching you work on this stream, because I've been here a couple times when you've done the hobby hangouts, and then watching you up in Dannyland.
Yes.
You're actually way safer up in your own space
is
than you
hilarious.
are on this stream.
well, also it's
I
because
think there's more to start on fire up there, though.
my space is made of wood.
Yeah.
Like, it is a mezzanine that is made of old wood.
Yes.
And there's a heater up there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't,
All you need is a grinder now.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong on my station, all the internet goes out too, because I have like all the hard wiring. Right there.
Everything, yeah.
So I have to be pretty careful. All right, but anyway, back on topic because I'm getting very distracted. It's Friday and check day.
Street paper.
Googly eyes, they're awesome. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna use the hollowness of the googly eye to our advantage. So I'm gonna take this knife and I'm gonna carefully cut 4 slices, right? Like I'll cut down and then I'll pop this section out. I'll show you guys real quick on camera what I'm doing.
Are you making like a small incision in like each edge,
Am.
basically, like
I'm gonna-
quadrants?
so that I can insert, so I can insert the legs into it, right? 'Cause I've got these legs.
You do.
and I want to be able to put them somewhere.
You're making keys for them.
And so I'm basically,
Got it.
making
You're a
keys
wizard, Danny.
for
Do you
this.
remember what the arm and leg bits are in this thing? I mean,
Yeah.
they're all in the kit that you can buy, so it's not a huge deal. But for my
All
personal,
of them are from Morden Number 2.
from which one? More Never Two.
Number
Okay,
2.
cool.
And if you can't see the link in chat because you're watching this later on YouTube, just go to store.privateerpress.com and do a quick search for Deathtrap, all one word, and you will find this thing.
I'm like really happy with this kit. I think it came out really cool, and we're just selling it for $13. So
I
it's like-
actually
Yeah, it's super
really,
affordable.
really love your take on
and
this.
and unlike yeah, it was something like our director Valancourt and I were kind of playing with, where it's this like spider walker with other little tiny spider hands that like lures you in. So you can sculpt whatever you want, like a treasure pile or whatever. I
Yeah.
sculpted a money bag on the top.
Yeah,
It
I
would look
noticed.
pretty good with a pile of gold on
It
top
did.
of it.
It was more inviting
It
if
would-
it could.
It would
do
look
that.
really good with a pile of gold, but you know how hard
I like the money
a
bag,
tiny
too.
pile of gold is to sculpt right now.
In
I
a
really-
day, yeah.
Well, it's one of those where it's like I would love. No, it's not. It doesn't take that long, but it's still like I have to do stuff I can just show the process of on live stream, to the point where I actually made a mold of the tiny money sack for later. I'm gonna try to sculpt it in brown putty in
Nice.
front of camera, but if I run out of time, we're just gonna glue on the casting.
So I see a lot of people online that have made custom tokens for Riot Quest. Usually, kind of follow the like bear trap kind of theme. But
Yeah.
Like I was saying, I think this is a super creative take on it, and it's really inspiring to kind of go outside the box on some of those
Right.
tokens.
It gives it
Well-
gives it a character too. It has a lens. It's like a.
It's
know.
really funny that you mentioned the bear trap, because it's definitely like Hungerford and I have been discussing, like that would be another one that we'd really like to do, and I'm working on is like a stupid little. We have the bear trap from one of the troll models, and I really want to put like goofy little legs.
So
on
it's
it.
running
Awesome.
around.
A little wind up.
Oh,
crank,
like
you
a
know?
key, like
that's
a, like
hilarious.
a clockwork.
You know, type of sound.
That's great because it moves too in the game.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Hungerford comes up with some really fun stuff. I
Yeah.
like working with that guy.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's like almost as crazy as I am, so you know it's.
He's just not as obvious about it.
No.
Dracos Dragoon points out kind of like one of those wind-up
Chattering
chattering
teeth. Yeah,
Exact-
that's
No,
great.
it's literally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that is literally what we're talking. Yeah.
Your custom trap is
Exactly.
pretty cool, Hungy. What does your custom trap look like?
Yeah.
It's-
Even it's hanging.
It's a picture of Danny's face.
It's a picture of Danny. They just cut his face out of a picture, put
always
it on
a
a minute.
trap. Always a trap.
I actually have a really good picture of Danny. Like I needed him to be like kind of like the spokes model. In one of the pictures I took of one of our booths at a show, I always take a picture to send to like Matt and Sherry so they can see how we're setting stuff up at
Yeah.
different events. And I usually put a person in there for kind of a sense of scale and how the pathing in it works. And so Danny was in there and he was being very excited that that particular image could be cut up and memed.
Oh, was
very
that
well.
from?
That was the one from
the con in San Diego, Kingdom Con.
Yes, Kingdom Con. And you were very excited, and you were in like victory pose, and
Because I was yelling at Monty after I crushed his like 14-year-old child in Monster Pocket. It's the only time I can ever get a win is when Monty gives me permission to beat his son in a demo.
Well, could have been a great learning experience.
Monty's one of our big fans in our community. He's a really good guy.
Danny, I'm hoping that this is hobby related, because if it's not, this is going to be kind of awkward. But what is on your left hand?
So on my left hand, before the live stream, I tend to smear a bit of Vaseline or chapstick because I'm going to be if I'm doing any putty work, I keep
It's a
that
way to
on my
keep it
hand
from
right
sticking.
here.
Yep.
Yeah, so that I can, dip my tool into it like this.
Yeah.
Right, and now my putty won't stick to it. So that's what that is.
Cool. Easy access.
Another move
also-
from the
It's
master.
not. It's not.
Danny is just naturally glossy and shimmery.
He's just he's
So-
got that dewy skin that
Don't-
everybody's
See, I haven't
going for
even-
now.
I
Don't
haven't
you
glued
dare
these-
try to dim his shine.
Haven't glued these in. They just kind of stick in at this point. I just stuck them into the holes here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some glue now that I've got these 4 chunks cut out of it.
Always do a test fit.
Yeah, that's
There they go.
a good idea,
Yep.
is to always mock up your parts before you glue them.
Dry fit them.
Let's see if I can do this cleanly.
Can you do it cleanly, or will it matter because you're going to prime and paint it anyway?
Yeah, exactly. It won't. Since this is the underside of the model, it doesn't really matter if you're super clean with it.
So the trick would just be to fill that bubble
whole
with glue.
Kinda. I mean, the nice thing is you're shoving the legs in far enough that it's kind of going to do that on its own with just
Yep.
like the pegs of the leg, if that makes sense.
The pegs of the legs.
Leg peg.
Tanner, you been playing in that slow grow league?
Yeah, I have.
How have
I
you
have
been
another
doing?
game on stream on Tuesday.
I had a game last night with Brian.
I heard that it went well for Brian.
Yeah, I
it went
heard you guys.
very well for Brian.
Right.
I got wrecked.
So I think our plan is to stream some of those soon, right?
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be really cool.
yeah. On Tuesday, when I said that there'd be 2 hobby hangouts, and I meant to say staff showdowns on Tuesday, there's going to be one at 10 a.m., which is going to be me and Oz, and then Jeff and Brian are going at it. I think 2 o'clock.
You better show Oz what
That's
4chan
gonna be
is.
so fun.
It should be a good game. Yeah.
Hashtag Brian crushes Jeff.
We'll see. They're both great players. They've been playing for a long time.
They both have been playing for a
Have
very
any of
Yeah.
you guys any of you guys watching? Have any of you guys made any really cool token variants yet? If so, I would love to see them.
Hashtag P3
Hashtag
kitbashers.
P3 kitbashers. Seriously.
Somebody posted their set in the Riot Quest General just last night, I believe.
Did
Sometime
they?
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a
awesome.
blast.
I gotta go look at that.
Mr. Dragoon, stay the course.
Hungerford keeps talking about his custom tokens, which I don't believe actually exist.
They're in storage in Canada.
They're in
You've probably
storage
never
in
heard of
Canada.
Oh yeah, we revealed a new Riot Quest hero this morning as a
Oh
celebration.
my
of
god,
1,000
I'm
members.
so excited. It's
Yeah.
so exciting because these characters are just like straight up me. Yeah,
Flubbin.
I have been wanting to talk about Flubbin for so
long, yeah.
The sister of Gubbin. Like, what is this? It's amazing. And it's funny, during art school, I actually came up with a plan to troll the universe and create some sort of fake, like, pseudonym for myself and try to go into the gallery scene, like the pop surrealist gallery scene that I was starting to show in, but just come up with like a pseudonym and have different people show up as me, and like,
Yeah.
it would be like 4 different artists pretending to be one.
That's
And
hilarious.
the name that I came up with was like Gubflub.
Gubflub.
So it's just like very ironic that now there are characters named Gubbin and Flubbin to me. Because now I can't use my cool art pseudonym as I troll the art universe. But it's even cooler because she has a little blimp tied to her back. Like, how awesome is that?
She's pretty
So
rad.
this is stuck right now. Like, I need to peel this area
Wow,
up
someone
a bit.
upstairs is like just going ham on the floor.
Ham doesn't belong on the floor, John.
There we go.
Belongs in your belly.
Floor ham.
And my finger's stuck to it.
Yeah.
And eventually, their old grandma who had a tractor accident is missing her left arm. Nubbin.
Awesome.
Nailed it. You have spoken that into existence, and if that character doesn't get made, we are officially beefing.
We're beefing.
All right, so you guys can see now I've gotten these legs in here.
So what you're saying is ye be beefing?
John, could you go to the
Thou
main
art
screen real quick?
beefed.
Thank you. So you guys can see this is now glued into those holes and slots
Nice.
that I've cut. So that's pretty easy, good to go. What I'm going to end up doing is taking this, our 15C blade again, and I'm just going to score the back side of this a little bit. Just add some texture so that our glue will stick better when we have to glue it to the resin. Because this plastic here on the back of a googly eye is somewhat shiny, and you want to give it a little bit more grip than it has. So now, forget what I want to do next. There are a million different ways to do this. I'm trying to decide if I want to, I want to add these tiny legs to the top. You guys can see Flub in there.
No, they can't yet.
Yay!
What?
Oh man.
I'm
You
working
can't
on
yet.
it.
John's getting a
soon.
photo
Oh, it
of
looks so
Flub ready
great.
for you guys.
So my concern here is Nubbin here lost her arm in a tractor accident. If she's related to Gubbin and Flubbin and is missing a limb, and it didn't happen by way of explosive, I'm a little disappointed. It had better been an explosive tractor.
A very big one.
So there we go.
Maybe
Now
it was a
now they
tractor
can see-
explosion accident.
Now they can see Flubbin.
So you guys can
That's so
see,
cool.
you guys can see Flubbin up there.
She's so
pretty
cute.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cute
And she looks
character.
so like gleeful to
Oh,
be
another
dropping
thing.
bombs.
Another thing
in
that
the
was
riot.
important to do. John, can you toss the main screen on?
Yep.
Is I clip off the back hinge of the railless here. Just make this thing flat. Tanner is just literally dying over there.
Tubbin.
Chubbin.
Who ate too much?
Oh my god.
I love this.
He ate too much of that floor ham.
much
He
floor
got
ham.
stuck in the tractor.
Please literally just make a gobber.
The whole family. I'm making all of these
Talking
models.
about
I'm gonna
floor
make
ham.
Yeah, the tribe.
Nubbin
Get them
and
together.
Tubbin.
So this is important. Well, not really that important. With small parts like this, if you want it to last a long time, you're gonna want to pin them. But it's not super needed because the nice thing about one of the reasons I chose this part is it does have a little ledge that you can kind of glue to.
Nice.
Look at Hungerford just like steamrolling his way through this live stream. Why did this
He's
happen?
the real star of the show.
Yeah. I also
Well,
keep
he's
somehow-
got to bring his star power in case we cancel Danny.
I also keep getting my drill bit stuck inside of my pin vise. And did it just disappear?
I think it did.
Danny's a magician.
I can make
How
this drill
did this
disappear.
happen? Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it goes.
Technical difficulty. So fun.
So which part are you pinning in?
The tiny little baby arms.
Oh, gotcha.
Baby arms.
What kind of wire you got there to pin them with?
Just what I had around. It's just brass. I actually like paper clips more than brass.
Really?
Yeah. Cheaper, and I don't stab myself. I
And you
like,
can
bend
bend
it
them.
and use the
Yep.
round part to push it in.
Yeah.
And then I snip it. So it's the
Smart.
amount of times I stab myself pinning things. So I'm just gonna go in, and a trick with pinning is there is no reason to ever have your drill bit out far. Like probably the shortest you can, where you can still get access to the thing.
Yeah, good
Is
advice.
the best because you're not gonna flex the bit, and you're not gonna snap your bit.
Especially if it rolls off the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Uncle Rubbin.
We're not going to talk about him.
This Gobber family's getting real big real fast.
Well, you know, one gobber meets another gobber.
I like when you're just chatting. I also like that you're a type of person like me that types in all caps a lot of the time because people are like, why are you speaking in all caps? I'm like,
Because
I
I'm
just-
actually yelling.
I
I'm a
just
loud
type
person.
like I speak.
Yeah.
Like my student email announcements are always ridiculous.
It's all
Apparently,
caps.
like I've been looking up like the hashtag for the college on Twitter just to see because so many students I realized I found out are retweeting my
Gobber
emails.
faction.
They're retweeting my emails to the class because it's just like the first line is "Hey" with like
18
30
E's.
exclamation points. Yeah. Guys! Exclamation point.
hey.
It's Friday! Exclamation point. If you don't turn in your assignment by 5, you fail! Exclamation
I
point.
love how this sounds
Sad
like an
face.
old-fashioned telegram. Like,
Yeah.
guys, stop.
Stop. Yeah.
Turn in your assignment. Stop.
Stop.
Guys, stop. It's Friday. Stop.
It's Friday.
Danny,
All right.
are you having some trouble with your pin vise?
No, it's this drill bit is
Oh,
very...
it got stuck on the piece. I see.
No, it's just very dull. It's nothing stuck. It just takes time. It's dull.
Your guy uses
Very
his
dull drill
tools.
bit.
It's what happens.
There's old Auntie Pubbin who keeps sneaking into
into
taverns,
taverns,
drinking
drinking
all
all
the
the
ale
ale
and
and
blowing them up. Hungerford,
It's Auntie Pubbin.
please,
She's coming to the
please,
reunion.
God, make all of this.
The entire Gobber family.
I just want
Release them as a box set.
Oh, that'd be great.
Well, that way I can. Yeah,
we
they can
get
have like.
a gobber that spends all day on Twitch and his name is Subbin?
God. Oh yeah, that's really important, guys. Also, we didn't go into this. If you subscribe, if we got a certain number of subscribers, it will unlock more of our cool custom emotes. Also, be sure if you have not already, renew your Amazon Prime subscription with us because you get one free sub a month.
But you have to
but
renew it every month.
So please be sure. We'd love to have you guys continue to sub.
Let's see if Tony put that frame in here.
Really helps us
Look,
track
it's right
this
there.
stuff. I'm just going in with this blade also and just cleaning up any mold lines while we're at
And
it.
once we get to that 120 subs, not only do you guys get the Riot Quest coin emote, but we get subs from Tony. So It's a win-win
Wait,
situation.
he's buying us lunch?
Wait, really?
He's at least buying me and Jordan subs. But
All right.
That's
the
dumb.
more
Why
subs
not
Tony has
me?
to buy, the better with me.
That way, we
Right.
can all get involved on
You
it.
guys all work
Jordan
for it.
get food?
Tony, this bill's getting bigger by the
So,
minute.
so what I'm hearing is we need to hit 500 so that Tony has no excuse to
Then
not
Tony has
just
to
go
buy
get us all
everyone
the
like
sandwiches.
filet mignon or something.
No, just sandwiches. Don't rob me of my
Can
free
I have
sandwich.
surf and turf today, please?
All right, so you guys can see I'm just going in with this pin, making sure everything fits okay. And then I've got this little silicone pad that we have a bunch of around here, but you can use anything. And I'll pour a little super glue in there. Just dip my wire in it. And shove this pin inside of the little leg, and then I will snip it.
Click.
It doesn't have to be that long, just a little something.
So I noticed you frequently modify or fabricate your own tools, Danny. How long have you been doing that, and do you have any advice for people to do the same?
Yeah, I've been doing that forever, since I was like 13. And it's really just, I guess the advice is buy some tools and see what you like first,
Okay.
right? Kind of see what you gravitate towards. And then you can modify tools to fit exactly what you like. Like, I know I like this certain type of shape for sculpting, so I'll actually modify a tool to be that exact shape, right? Or I'll regrind a sculpting tool I have. And, I started making them, crud. Well, I didn't drill this hole deep enough. I actually started making tools because I was, a kid and couldn't really afford to buy nice tools. So I would like carve them out of like, popsicle sticks and stuff
This
like
is
that.
why I need a soundboard, because I could be playing like the sad violin music while you're saying that.
Or like the what is it the
Papa Days.
end credits music to the Hulk TV show.
Where he just walks away to another town.
Yeah, just like trying to hitchhike.
So, kind of to expand on what he was talking about with the custom tools is if you get yourself a basic set of like sculpting tools, dental picks, and then work with them, see if they work for you, then you'll be able to kind of learn based on that what you don't have in that set that you need. And then you could take whichever tools you don't use or a different set of cheap dental picks and take them to a belt sander or grinder and alter them however you want.
We actually do have some of on our or on our store still. We have a set of pretty decent sculpting tools.
They're actually really good, yeah.
Not
For
bad,
like
yeah.
$10.
I like 'em.
They're pretty sweet. And
We actually use them when cleaning molds too.
Yeah, actually.
I
they're pretty
buy
versatile.
those and from us, and I regrind them very often to get other shapes that did not come in that set, but it's decent. It's somewhat decent steel, so I can kind of get a lot of mileage out of a few of those sets in a grinder.
Danny, can we talk about where you got the inspiration for this, like directly related to the pieces? Did you just go bit shopping, or did one of these pieces pop into your head and you were like, I bet I could make something cool with that?
So I have a secret weapon. I have a cheat code.
Googly eyes.
But also Faye.
Oh, she's
our
she's
developer.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, Faye?
Because she knows every
She's a
part in this
genius.
building.
She's just a genius.
Just
and
the
so
inventory of parts that she has in her head is incredible.
she's literally a living library of our parts library. So what I do a lot of the time when I start a project like this, and if Faye's not here, yes, I literally just walk back. I have an idea. I start with an idea of, okay, I want all right, here's how I do it if I don't have a cheat code of Faye. When Faye is not in and I actually have to work really hard, what I do is I come up with an idea, like I want this weird little spidery walker thing. Then I will look through our catalog. We also have all of our mold sheets, or a lot of our mold sheets, are printed out in a big binder. So you can actually see every part for every kit, and it has the mold number, right?
Nice.
So I'll go through there and be like, all right, I know I need this spider walker, so I'll just keep flipping until I see some spider legs, and then I'll go try to find those parts, and I'll walk around with like a little bin and just pick parts out and start to put something together. But when I have Faye, I walk up and I'm like, hey, Faye, you want to play our favorite game? And she's like, I hate you. Go die. And I'm like, but Faye. Hey, Faye. She's like, what, Danny? What the heck do you need? And I'm like, I need spider legs. She's like, all right, let's go. You've got more than ever 2. You've got this thing. And she'll just like grab all this stuff I need, and I'll stare at it. I'll be like, this one. I'm like, now I need something that's like this shape and like this big. That's probably resin. And she's like,
Just
I'm
like the
going
Vegas
to
thing.
murder you, but here.
Limitless patience.
So no, that's how I.
She has to have limitless patience. She's willing to work with Oz and Hungerford.
Oh my god.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Hit the dirt.
I don't know. Oz is a pretty patient human.
Oz is super patient.
Oz has to deal with me so much.
And Hungerford will just constantly tell you why you're wrong. So you at least get the learning experience of why he thinks you're wrong.
All right, so you guys can see now we've got this. We've got this resin bit.
It's coming
And I'm
together.
going to start pinning in the legs. So where this kind of panel line is, I am going to drill some holes. And it helps to pre-mark this with a pencil, but screw it.
We've made quite a bit of progress on this. In
It's a
40
fast. This
Yeah,
is a fast one.
this was
no, this is
very
a fast
quick.
one. The one that the thing that took the longest time and the thing that took me a while was I actually wanted to mold some of these parts so I could use them for different things. So like, you know, inherently making the piece does not take long, but I spent a while on this project because I wanted to archive some of these pieces. Like I sculpted, you know, this little tiny money bag, and so I wanted to mold that, and then I made a few of these bases so I could make a mold of them.
Oh, nice.
So that
Very
I don't have
clever,
to like carve
yeah.
this by hand every time I want to make like a
So
cool
you
design.
get to benefit from Danny's hard work by going to store.privateerpress.com.
Yeah, but
Buying
you can't,
that
I mean, that
Deathtrap.
said, you can't buy. I'm not selling the castings of these or the bag. you
'Cause
know,
then I would have to
'cause
make
then
a
Tanner
lot of
would
them.
have to produce them.
Then you'd have to make 'em
and
all.
I don't want him to have to do that.
Unfortunately, I have thousands of howlers to make.
So
at this
we,
exact
we
moment,
literally
so-
have the entire line of production on these things in this room.
What's that?
Because Danny conceives and puts these things together, then Tanner has to go make this stuff, and then
Yeah.
Charlie has to go pick it up and put it in a box
it up.
for you fine folks at home.
You know what's funny is it's been faster. I'm actually the one that packs these now.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I pack all of them for you guys.
Don't steal Charlie's shine.
Yeah, thanks for
Charles,
stealing my thunder.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
You scab.
we all need to understand just how useless Charles is.
Yeah. I'm not even here.
Oh no!
I hate you.
Charles is one of our best new hires. That's rude.
Charles
Thank
is
you.
awesome, except for the fact I like to insult him because I don't like squirrels, and Charles is so sweet that like I feel like every time you make Charles sad, like some sort of adorable animal somewhere in the world just like spontaneously combusts.
Just dies.
Jeez.
And so,
You squirrel
just to balance out, just to like balance the cosmic,
really dark.
the cosmic
he's
scales.
Thanos,
Like
this
when
stuff.
you're mean, when you're mean to Charles, like something dies. Like,
Something beautiful in the world dies.
A couple weeks ago,
so Coyote BD, that drill is super short. That is the point. So it's I try to push it as far in as I can to where I still would have access, but I don't want a long drill bit sticking out because it'll bend and wobble and it'll snap the blade, snap the bit. So
Or you
want
might
it to-
be tempted to drill like too deep a hole.
Yeah.
that would
Yeah,
be the other side
I
of the
try
leg.
to. I honestly try to use the ferrule here, or the what's it called?
Feral.
Feral?
No,
That's for a
paintbrush
brush.
work.
Yeah.
Anyway, I try to use
mount
this
there,
thing as my
yeah.
stop.
Which is smart.
oh,
yeah.
the call it.
The cullet, thank you. There it is.
Look at you
that's
guys
a-
knowing
that's
the
10
names
points
of tools.
To Tanner,
Well,
right
Tanner
there.
worked for years in construction. Well, technically, what?
Reverse construction.
Reverse demo.
Yeah, weren't
he
you,
was
weren't, you,
demolition.
weren't you like a foreman or something?
Yes.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
a demolition foreman.
For the last few months before
So not
I left,
only
I
is he
was
good at
running
making
jobs.
things, he's good at destroying them.
I'm like,
Some
Tanner,
might
please
say
help
he's
replace a section
better
of my
at them.
floor upstairs. And we just came up there and like hacked out a chunk of my mezzanine. I'm just like,
This won't do, curse smash. And then he went and fabricated you a better piece.
I did.
Masterful. And put together most of our shelves.
That
so
was.
you guys can
yeah.
see how easy it
Oh,
is. Once
God.
you do a good job pinning, like all of it just pops together. It's really
Just
satisfying.
plugs right in.
Now, one of the other cool things about this, about these bits, is you can actually pose them. You know, they're metal, so you can go ahead and like, if you want one arm slightly, you know, up.
So you just contort the metal a little bit. And
Exactly.
You can actually do a lot of like very minor reposing by bending some of the metal parts. I don't recommend that you bend them severely because they will snap.
Don't bend them back. Once you try not to go back and forth with your metal
Yeah,
parts.
correct. That'll kill it.
That will pop your part. Which you can see, like it's
Whoa,
really
hey,
not that.
hey, this is a
but
kid-friendly show.
It's really not that hard to pin something. Pin something small. because people don't really understand that you don't need a super deep hole to stabilize a pin, as long as it's in there. And so even if you break a metal part, you can always kind of just clip it, clean it, and like pin it back
Do
together.
it again.
Yeah, you just pin it right back.
Right. Well, now that you're almost done with the arms here, what do you intend to do after that? Are you going to assemble the two pieces or go right to the bag?
I'm gonna assemble the two pieces and probably sculpt the bag at the same time.
Oh,
Because
nice.
Danny only has 15 minutes to pull it
15
off.
minutes.
But he's actually moving at a pretty good
Start the
clip.
death
Yeah,
clock.
you're flying here. This looks amazing. Like in 1 hour, our customers
let's
can
see.
have these really great.
Oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite product.
Not even
thing
1
so
hour.
far.
They can go to the store.privateerpress.com right now and get it.
Yeah, it's definitely
See what
my
I did
favorite.
there?
And again, guys, like our ponds are selling out. Same with our walls. So.
Yeah, the walls were magnificent, by the way. Like those are really cool.
Yeah, I think one of our previous, that was probably Hawkins, one of our previous terrain guys from way long ago.
One of
I
the old
remember
guard.
reading his articles in No Quarter when I was like 14 years
When
old.
Danny was little.
A wee Danny lad. Hawkins was like my big inspiration for his tutorials.
Aw. Well, that's adorable.
Just put a head in there and make it President Nixon of Futurama.
Nixon of Futurama.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm not a crook.
I really I want. Well, what I actually did play with was Valancourt, our art director, and I were talking about making a. Oh, and by the way, I'm cutting up the two parts of the brown putty here, and it's an epoxy-based putty. You just mix
Working
the two
them
parts
together.
Makes it,
It's nice for sculpting and for.
Use matches
sandable
instead of
too, like,
blowtorches
This
on
putty's
his mini.
super sandable, super carvable, but it's very, very sticky when you don't put like Vaseline on it or water on it or spit on it.
So unlike your
And,
Neatite or green putties, this stuff you can like sand.
Yeah, that's why I like it a
not
lot
long
more
and
than like a Neatite. Yeah, the
You
green
feel it's
putty.
more
is-
Yeah,
versatile.
that brown
Well,
aluminum putty.
Green putty, it has a lot of flex to it, and it has a memory. So like if I'm pulling down a detail, like if I'm sculpting a mouth or something like that on a creature, and I yank down that detail, it's going to inherently spring back a little bit.
Huh.
And so
Wow.
I don't want to have to
Yeah.
account for that when I'm sculpting.
Yeah.
Anytime you're working with it, you have to be a little bit more exaggerated
Yeah.
than you think you have to be.
So if I ever do work with it, because somebody gave me a ton of it and I just want to like use it sometimes, I always have to mix it with something. So I'll actually mix it with art putty, or I'll mix it with like an epoxy sculpt to make it carvable. So you can get the, because I really do need my stuff carvable and sandable at the end. It's a big part of my process, being able to go in and clean up and chisel out details, especially because I work in terrain and so much of this stuff is like hard surface, right? So it's funny, Drakios Dragoon, that you say that. When Danny was little and only using matches instead of blow torches on his minis, my parents love to tell this story because I really like fire.
Big surprise.
The great thing we put you in a big
and I
wooded
was-
area.
This is my shocked face.
Yeah, I was like, for those of you that can't see John, he's just staring at me deadpan. And real quick, before I get into this story, I'm rolling out a small ball of this stuff. Oop. And
Dropping
I'm
it.
actually going to use it as my glue to put these two pieces together because
Well, that's the other benefit of that putty.
It is. And you can see this has a dip. This is kind of a concavity. So I want to be able to fill that out or there's not going to be enough surface to glue on when I put the bottom part onto this, right? So I'm actually just going to drop this here, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this side. And this is a
Never
trick that-
underestimate the hold of glue plus any kind of two-part epoxy. It
Yeah.
will just shunk.
It's a trick one of our previous studio painters taught me. Instead of pinning stuff, instead of taking a long time to pin things quickly, or you can, in a pinch, very quickly just take a little dab of brown putty and shove it into the joint, then put glue on the other
Yep.
side, and then
Just
Perfect.
yeah, and then you
Especially-
can clean the edge,
Yeah.
and it'll actually gap fill for you right
Yep.
there.
That's amazing.
And it's actually easier to clean off because it's sandable and carvable versus, say, like when you have excess glue and it's a really big pain to take that.
Yeah.
Actually, and not to
Sculpt,
not
like-
to be like, no, that's wrong. But I love using. I use super glue. Super glue is actually my most used filler. Because super glue is super. Sorry, John. It's super durable.
you sorry?
And so I'll actually
have a
mix,
different process. That's
I'll
fine.
mix talcum powder into super glue. And it'll
Wow.
create.
Well, see, that makes-
It'll create a
yes.
slurry.
Yep.
And super glue is very durable. So if it has to be, it's probably it's the most durable filler you can get. So I'll do super glue and I'll either blow baking soda on it, which causes the super glue to dry instantly, or or I'll mix talc and make a slurry putty because then I can kick it with accelerant. Now, back to fire. As you can see, it worked great. It's all locked together. I'm going to start prepping a part real quick to see if I can sculpt part of this this money sack. But yeah, so my parents told me I could not play with fire and I could not use matches, but there was a project I really wanted to do when I was like 7 that like needed a little bit of fire because I was like trying to carve a knife out of a stick, and one of the ways to harden it I read in some like camping book was to like light the end a little bit so you can char it and it'll kind of like harden the wood. And I also found a bunch of clay in the creek and I wanted to see if I threw it in fire if it would be like a kiln, which is not how that works. But my parents were like, they wanted to give me like a challenge because they like never thought I'd do it, and they were like, well, you can't use matches, but maybe you can find some other way to make fire.
So Alec has just asked a question that I was supposed to make sure got asked on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
stream
yeah.
today. So yesterday, Jordan was painting up to Structatron 3000. And the question had been asked, like, what would be the best way to make, like, a little mini license plate for him? And we all said plastic card, but Hobby Hangout is the place that question should
Yeah.
absolutely be asked.
Honestly, at that scale,
Yeah.
plastic card, what you should really do is, plastic card is the answer, but design it digitally on Photoshop or whatever, print it out, and then use spray 77 spray adhesive.
Oh, yeah.
Spray it to a piece of styrene, and then cut it out. And then you can go in and use a little paint and like weather it, like take muddy wash or something,
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
add some streaking or
Yeah.
like some dust pigment or something.
Dent or something.
And that's honestly, because at that scale, that's going to be the most readable. And, work smart,
And
not
you
hard.
can customize your license plate very easily.
So
Don't have to freehand
What
it.
I'm also doing is I'm taking a little bit of brass wire and I'm building up. Everybody kind of has their own preference on how to sculpt, and I'm sure some of the traditional sculptors, like a guy like Brian Dugas, would probably be cringing at my process here for what I'm doing to bulk this out.
Don't look
because
Ryan.
He, a lot of these guys sculpt kind of in one go, or they block out a lot faster. I tend to actually block out with, and I did this, I learned this from doing a lot of work with like polymer clay, but I'll actually bulk out some of my stuff with more wire. So to make this sack, I'm very quickly kind of building up a blob of wire.
Just building a skeleton, more or less.
Yeah. Well, I'm bulking it out, and it also helps. It helps the putty stick to it. Much better.
Danny
So-
has 7 minutes to complete the project.
Yeah. So anyway, back to fire.
How'd you build your fire?
Yeah, so my parents came home and I had figured out how to start a fire with a magnifying glass at the age of 7 if I curled a leaf in a very particular way so that it like collapsed in on itself and then it would ignite, and then I threw tinder. And I had like they drove up, and in the middle of our like asphalt driveway I had like a 4-foot fire.
Nice.
Just like blazing in the driveway. And they're like, what is wrong with you?
They gave you permission. What did they expect?
They like didn't know what to do because they were like, "Yeah, we did say
We
you could
did
do
say
this."
that, yeah.
I was such a little butthead.
Hey.
All right, so what I've also done is I'm using the hobby knife handle as my handle to hold the, the armature for this sculpt with. And here we go. Doo-ba-boo. And I'm just gonna put a blob here. Some
Okay,
of
dab Vaseline on there.
Off my hand. There we go.
Danny, where did that fire story take place? In Ohio?
Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
So speaking
Ohio.
like towards that, kind of chaos that came from your improvisation, you've always shown me unique and kind of like unusual or unexpected ways to solve problems and creating your own compounds and things like that. Have you ever had any that went totally backfire?
Yeah.
Like you created a powder that rendered you unconscious or something?
No. No. Because I tend to, I try to be somewhat safe when I'm mixing chemicals
Danny,
together.
should move your hands
A little
forward.
bit.
And so I do read the MSD, the material safety data. I read the materials safety. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that my.
You're drifting
thing
off
was
out of frame
camera.
there.
What was I going to say? What were we talking about, Tanner?
We were talking about Charles about your backfired.
Oh,
project?
backfired things. Yeah, I read the material safety data forms of these products before I really start to use them. But there was one time in college where I wanted to do a cold cast resin piece. So there's like bronze powder that you can mix into resin to make it look like a bronze, and you can actually use chemical patina treatments on it. Also, you guys can see I'm using the hobby handle to rotate the sculpt around my tool, or around, my tool around my sculpt, to create that kind of
Like
little-
bag shape.
The cinch.
The cinch
yeah,
at the top.
cinch. And then I'm just gonna hold this tool at an angle.
Alex says, as a parent, Danny's fire story scares me. As a child of Menoth, I am pleased.
So Danny, say if that was going to be like a trash bag or something, and you were going to put like, you know how they have the little colored handles that'd be like blue or red or whatever that you use to cinch them up, the little drawstrings. What would you use to put those on a bag like this?
Drawstrings, yeah.
Paint.
Paint.
Yeah,
You
I'd
just
probably
paint
paint
it
that
on.
in, or I'd sculpt it. Like the one that I cast, actually, I sculpted a tiny little cinch in there. I just took a really sharp scalpel blade, and I did the same thing. I ran around the edge like this. See, I'm moving pretty quick, so. And you can see, probably won't be able to see it on camera. Yeah, you can.
That looks really good. I'm impressed.
So it has that tiny little nub. I'm going to use this ball tip tool also. Oh yeah, so anyway, I was trying to do a cold cast, and it recommended a certain type of resin, and I had a resin that was pretty close to that type of resin, but it was not that type of resin. And I tried to do a cold cast with the bronze powder that somebody gave me. For like, I was making these little coins with my name on them to give out to like recruiters as like my business card, basically.
That's clever.
And it caught fire.
It just started on fire.
Yeah, I mixed the chemicals together, and it lit on fire.
Man.
And so luckily I had a chemical spray booth right by there.
So you're just like,
And so I just shoved it in the spray booth, turned on the venting, and just watched it. And I had like a big thing of sand or something by it in case I needed to like
oh damn.
snuff it. But I also didn't know exactly how sand would work on it, so I kind of just let
So
it
you
do
had
its thing.
you had a whoops kit.
Whoops
Yeah.
kit.
Yeah, I try to be. That's the other thing. If I ever am experimenting, like I do try to have like a.
Friends, family, Mad Sea Captains, be sure to get your whoops kit.
Yeah, I always try to have a kit. So also what I'm going to do real quick with the last like 3 minutes that we have is I'm going to take these like rubber tip tools. I'm going to start to add some kind of wrinkles where it's getting cinched up.
Nice.
If you're doing any sculpting with putty, rubber tip chisels are pretty much essential in my opinion.
They're pretty awesome tools.
Rubber tip.
And so I'm just kind of going in and adding some tapered, little tapered kind of fold lines.
And
where
these
this
are
thing would be
very easy to
cinched.
find at the craft store too.
Probably affordable as well.
They're
mine
not,
not
cheap.
expensive.
Oh, they're not?
Buy good ones.
Buy
That's
good
a-
ones.
They're not
That's
all
always
created.
good advice.
So,
yeah.
They're
One
not
of-
always created equal.
One of the ones that I love is there's a couple of companies that make little kits for like doing like laptop repair and stuff like that, and a lot of them will include basically like a little rubber or malleable plastic, what they call a persuader for like kind of prying up screens and stuff like that. And so basically it's like a super tiny malleable plastic or rubber spatula, right? But it's got a really thin tip, and those are awesome because like they're really difficult to break, but you can use them for a lot of this kind of stuff.
And I'm also going to try to tease up some of like this bag ripple at the top.
Make it look more realistic.
Yeah. So there we go. So there it is.
Beautiful bag.
That is a quality bag.
Is that where you put your street paper?
And so then your what?
Street paper.
And so I painted a tiny little money sign on
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that looks great. I love it.
But you can do whatever you want. You can replace it with any type of treasure. Yeah, Mike and I were talking about putting, I think I said, like a servitor head in there from like Convergence and painting it all gold. Like people want to get that because they're always
Oh,
getting
yeah.
stuff.
That's
This was
great.
a little bit big for this project. But yeah, I mean, once you let bag dry, or I'm just gonna, just for the sake of this project,
Use your cast one.
I'm gonna use my cast one so you guys can see the final look. Throw a little bit of
Nice.
glue on there.
I have a question,
Toss the
Danny.
casting in there. Yes, sir.
When you finish this death trap, can I have it?
No, it's for Jordan.
Aww.
Yeah, he already claimed it.
You said Jordan?
Yeah.
I'll fight him for
Yeah,
it. It's okay.
That's
Yeah,
fine. That'll,
you can-
that
you
fight
can-
will
you can play a
end
game for it.
very,
It'll be your
very
prize.
quickly. That would be a
Be
one-sided
your
fight.
your.
And also, here's another
battle
last trick. Last, very, very last trick. Sorry, I know it's 11, but stick with me.
I would never.
Take your guy, place him down on your base where you want him. Take a thumbtack and poke a hole.
Kind of sits in the holes.
Yep. For
Nice.
Your foot.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to
Little
pin it.
anchor.
Well,
place.
that'll be a lot more durable, like for when you move the
Yeah, the model on the
The model.
Because this
around.
is a.
Because you're not picking it up by the base almost ever.
It is a game. Yeah, it is a game piece. That's why I pinned these small arms too.
Smart,
You
yeah.
don't have to, but it's since we're going to be handling this thing, you know, you're going to want it to be durable, and then you can literally just use the same, you know, thumbtack with your glue
And just probe the.
and just put a
areas.
drop of glue in there, drop a glue in here, drop a glue in there. And I didn't poke one for the last third hole because I think the fourth hole because I think 3 is enough.
maintain 3 points of contact.
Now I wish he was a tripod.
Well, the other one I did have his foot up.
Oh, it was kind of like a more
Other way.
dynamic, like
Yeah,
walking.
I
like,
bent it so that you can see his foot is standing up, right?
So you can be
But-
like, "Rah."
And there
incoming.
it is. And then yeah, you just stick your thumbtack right back in your glue.
Screw
That
fizzle.
way your
I'm,
glue
I'm
doesn't
here
dry
now.
out.
What did I miss? Making this model.
The entire thing. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Fizzle.
That's okay. It'll
All
be
of
up
it.
on Facebook
And
in
there
a matter of
it
minutes.
is. There is our custom
It's
Riot
amazing.
Quest Deathtrap.
It really
Be sure
is
to get
awesome.
It really is awesome.
Be sure to get your kit, and be sure to tune in for more awesome hobby content.
get 'em while they
I
last.
should have an insider this Tuesday on making this, but also doing the basing for Riot
Ooh.
Quest.
Oh, love it.
That is our goal
Ooh.
to get that done.
All right, Danny, what else do we need to know?
That you should subscribe on Twitch
Yeah.
and subscribe to Mini Crate.
Subscribe. They got me. Oh, yeah, Mini Crate. Also, we have Shinjo Altan Sarnai available for Legend of the Five Rings.
Subscribe by January 5th.
Be sure to get Zalutun.
Zalto Tune. It's spelled wrong.
Yeah,
on this one.
King Conan. Sorry, my brain
I
just
hear
shut
King
off.
Conan comes with the secret of steel.
If you subscribe, we get to unlock more awesome emotes. And yeah, thank you guys for coming. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I sure did.
Thank you.
And be sure to follow our Instagram, privateer_press_terrain, and hashtag P3kitbashers.
Aw, yeah.
See you guys.
Have a good weekend.
Stay
everyone.
swashbuckling.